I think most of it was good, given the fact that, as you said, 204 blocks were cancelled. There was quite a crisis in the coal sector. There were panic calls coming through on account of shortage of coal. We've been through almost 2015 without any panic buttons being pushed. Coal today, the coal production is at record levels. Coal India is producing at more than 9% over the previous year, which in itself was a record. During 14-15, the production levels went beyond 34 million tons over the previous years, which was more than the cumulative growth over the previous 4 years, in fact. So that being so, today we are reasonably comfortable with coal. Coal block auctions have happened and continue to happen. So it's been fairly satisfying year for us, thanks to a fabulous team that I have with me here in the Ministry of Coal. So far, 8 blocks have started production. More than 6 million tons has already been produced. And we are very hopeful that the remaining of the 34 blocks that were in operation before they were cancelled will start operating before 31st of March. That is during the current financial year. This is an exercise, it's an ongoing exercise. As and when we complete groundwork relating to each block, we allocate or auction those blocks. So this exercise will continue for a while till we are exhausted with all the blocks that are available for either auction or allocation. See, it is for the first time that imports have already started coming down. In fact, during the month of October, it came down by 50% over the previous year. And it's continuously coming down. This is on account of the coal production by Coal India, which, as I mentioned earlier, is growing at a record rate of more than 9% now. You might be aware that Coal India was increasing production anywhere between 1 and 3% over the past so many years. Last year, it grew by more than 6%. This year, it's growing more than 9%. So consequent to the increase in production by Coal India, the import dependence is coming down. They still have a long way to go. But we are hopeful in the next few years, we should be able to eliminate import of such coal as is available in India. I would believe that in the year 2014-15, import of coal was at around 212 million tons. This year, it should come down by about 40 to 50 million tons. Next year, it's going to come down further. I'm looking at another 50 million tons coming down. It may not be correct to say that the demand for power has come down. It has not grown at the same rate as it was growing last year, but the demand has actually gone up. It's not growing at the same rate. Last year, the demand for power grew at a very high pace over the previous year. But since the base year last year was pretty high, this year the growth is not as much as it was last year. However, we are very hopeful that this demand will pick up as the economy also picks up over the next few months. I think one of the constraints for the lack of demand growth at the levels at one would have envisaged was on account of the poor financial health of the discoms. I think Uday is a boon is a boon for such discoms, because it would lead to the revival of those discoms. It will provide them fiscal space to borrow more, and they will be able to then create a greater demand for power, which in turn will create a greater demand for coal. So Uday is a godsend opportunity for all the discoms, as also for the banks, because if the restructuring doesn't happen, then some of the banks could be in trouble. So this restructuring will help the banks, it will help the discoms, it will help the economy as a whole, and it could lead and it would lead to revival of these discoms which are suffering. Because Uday does not merely comprise the restructuring, the financial restructuring. There are a slew of measures that are outlined in Uday. And the manner in which the states have indulged in making out their plans, their commitment that one has seen, one is quite certain that Uday will lead to the revival of discoms and will impact the economy positively. You know, Uday is a move in that direction. Actually, the money comes from the discoms. So if the discoms' financial health improves, they will be able to pay the generating companies, who in turn will pay it to Coal India. So it's all linked. And that's why one is very, very hopeful that once Uday package gets rolling out, it will certainly impact the financial health of discoms, which in turn will improve the payment to the generating companies, and in turn, the money will start flowing to Coal India. So Uday is not only beneficial to, as I said, the banks, the discoms, the generating companies, it's also beneficial to Coal India, because that's where the money is going to come from. If I remember correctly, it's more than 8,000 crores. That's the amount that the various generating companies owe to Coal India. But that is the amount that has been there for a while. It's not that it's suddenly come up in the past few months. In fact, the amount has actually come down, though marginally, but it's come down from what it was last year around this time. No, I don't think it's going to impact Coal India at all. Fact of the matter is that we were woefully short of coal. I had mentioned earlier that we imported 212 million tons of coal, which is almost more than 25% of the requirement in the country. That being the case, if we are able to replace this imported coal, I don't think Coal India is going to be impacted. Had the supply been sufficient within the country, such a allocation would have certainly impacted Coal India. But since there's a lot of space available where coal can come in fact, more coal should come in if we have to eliminate imports. So allocation of these coal blocks is going to help everyone. It's not going to adversely impact Coal India at all. Yes, the government, in the legislation that was brought out, has this provision for commercial mining by the private sector. Necessary groundwork is being done by the government, and soon we should come out with some basic paper on how to go about doing commercial mining. Indeed, we are extremely concerned about environmental issues, though the need for coal would be there in the years to come. The government is very, very conscious of reducing the impact of coal production on environment. And with this in view, from next year onwards, only crushed coal will move from Coal India below 100 mm. And what is most important is that Coal India is setting up 15 washeries, all of which will become operational by 1st of October 2017. So only washed coal, for all categories of coal above G10, they will all be washed before they are moved out of collieries. The third point, I think we are laying a lot of emphasis on reforestation of land where mining happens. And the decision is very clear. For every hectare of land that is mined, we are going to forest 2.4 hectares of land. So it's more than twice the land that we're going to forest. Hence, the commitment of the government is very clear in terms of maintaining the environment, in terms of reducing the impact on environment as a consequence of coal mining. And these are the steps that we are taking in that direction. It's not merely on the table. In fact, it's already happening. Around 18 linkages have already been rationalized. That will result in a saving of more than 1,400 crores per annum. So the transportation or the distance linkage rationalization is already underway. A lot of work has already been done. The phase 1 is almost over. Phase 2 will commence now. It's slightly more complex in terms of rationalization of linkages. We are also looking at efficiency linkages. So far, we worked on distance linkages, rationalization of linkages. Now we're looking at efficiency rationalization of linkages. All this will help reduce the cost of power ultimately. That's our endeavor. Our endeavor is to see that whatever quality of coal that is available in India, that quality of coal should not be imported, and we are working towards that. However, there is no restriction on import of coal. If an entrepreneur feels that the imported coal gives him a better return, he is free to import, and that's how they're importing. But it will be our endeavor to substitute that coal by domestic coal, because we do believe that with India sitting on 300 billion tons of coal, there should be no need of importing such coal and such variety of coal that is available in India.